and let's talk about lowriders, man. This is a great story. I mean, I love this story. Everything about it is awesome. So, after 3 decades, City is ending the cruising ban with lowriders, and everyone's happy about this. So, for the longest time, they had banned lowriders, they had banned cruising. Well, technically, they banned the cruising. You could still have lowriders, but a lot of times the lowriders were in car shows where they were all set up in a parking lot and people could check them out. But they wouldn't allow cruising. I mean, what's cruising? They kind of go up and down a street, and it's like a social event. I remember back in the day when I was in high school in the Bay Area, on Friday nights, high school kids would cruise on the El Camino Real in San Mateo and a little bit of Belmont. And that was a thing for a while. But I know amongst the lowrider community, this is a really big thing. And for a lot of people, this has racial and cultural implications. A lot of people didn't really understand it. Like, who in the hell are these people with these goofy cars? And I don't want this element, I'm using air quotes, this element in my community. And if you think about this, I mean, this is just the coolest thing ever, because these are people that love their cars. I mean, they're no different than, some MAGA guy that loves his big ass 4x4 pickup. They're no different than, a guy that loves his Corvette or his Austin Healey. There are car enthusiasts in every category of cars, including lowriders. And the cool part about lowriders is that they are legitimately a work of art. The way they're restored, the way that they are finished, a lot of the customization that are done to these cars is great. And it's not just the goofy hydraulics and stuff, but it's just the way they're painted, the way they're restored. I mean, it's a love affair with these cars, and it brings people together. Brings people together for all the right reasons. But sometimes people think it's for the wrong reasons because they just don't understand it. And this is part of the challenge where it gets to race and culture and the like. But a couple of comments on this. And again, good on National City for doing this. Joining with other communities across the state that have recently embraced lowrider culture and heritage, National City leaders unanimously repealed a long-standing ban on car cruising on Tuesday night. And according to Council Member Jose Rodriguez in National City, ultimately, this is what democracy is about. It's about people coming together and saying, this is a law that we like, or is this a law that should be repealed? Well, it is. I mean, sadly, though, democracy is what banned the cruising in the first place. But, this is the United States of America. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave. This is a land where we have inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So why in the hell are they banning cruising? Now, sure, there's more people on the road. It gets a little congested. And if you want to go through that area, yeah, it's going to suck because there's going to be a lot of traffic. But they only do it on certain nights. Like this is on Tuesday nights. And it's usually only on one street. So knowing that, you can avoid it. You can know how to go around it. I mean, the first time you get stuck in it, you'll probably be upset, but you learn and you'll work your way through it. It's not a big deal. But for those people that come together, they've got something to celebrate. They have experiences to share. And men and women and children, it's not just the car. It's like the whole culture comes together. And it's cool. It really is cool. And especially if you're like a car enthusiast, to see these cars from the 1950s that have been restored. I mean, some of them have been restored to be almost original status. And they're beautiful. You think, God, how much do they spend to restore these vehicles? It's incredible. It's a labor of love. But I just think it's great. Now, to me, this is freedom. This is freedom. Now, now I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and those will be the environmentalists. They're going to be upset with all of the CO2 emissions, the carbon that's being emitted, and they're going to be angry at all these inefficient 1950s cars or their gas-powered cars that are creating pollution. So that's coming. So are they going to convert these to EVs? Or we're going to have EV cruising? I don't know. Makes you wonder. Article goes on to say, and these are all articles that are, by the way, I get a lot of this from the San Diego Union Tribune, some of it from Times of San Diego, some of it from Voice of San Diego, some of it from the Times Advocate in Escondido. This article is from the San Diego UT. Many have said that such bans are racially motivated, though others have said they were simply a reaction to crime trends that existed when they were first put in place. They're definitely racially motivated in some cases. Crime, you know, is there crime when there's cruising? There might be. I mean, any kind of an activity that draws people together, there's going to be a certain element that's going to be there that's going to be, causing some trouble for whatever reason. But this is mostly all love. I mean, it's like 98% love and 2% something else. But breaking the law, I mean, come on. I mean, the laws they were quote unquote breaking were probably mostly traffic related. It was just mostly people just didn't want that in their neighborhood. It's another example of this NIMBYism. God damn it, don't put that cruising shit in my yard. That's what it is. They don't want housing. They don't want cruising. They don't want anything. They just want to hit the pause button on their VCR and freeze time so that their community remains the same, with failing to understand that things evolve. So the current reality is that this event is about friends and family members coming together to drive low and slow and admire mobile works of art that their owners have spent decades perfecting. Oh, yeah, exactly. In some ways, it's about the cars, according to another council member. This is Marcus Bush. In some ways, it's about the cars, but it's also a civil rights issue. It's about the movement of people and the restriction of the movement of people, the struggle, right? Is it a civil rights issue? Well, it kind of is. I mean, people should be free to move about. And in this case, yeah, it's either directly or indirectly targeted at Hispanics, at Latino. So there is a civil rights angle to this. But ultimately, if you see these guys on street corners. I go down Pomerado Road and Ted Williams Parkway here in Poway on Sundays, and all the Trump guys are out there. They're waving their flags, and they've got their signs say freedom, honk for freedom. But I'll bet you they'd be the first ones to ban the cruising in their neighborhood because they don't want that element in their neighborhood. They want freedom for me, but not for thee. That's a big part of it. That's the hypocrisy of it all. Ed Franklin on the live stream. Thanks, Ed, for piping in here. We cruised Valley Parkway in the 1980s, and it was amazing. Yeah. See, cruising's cool, and you're talking about things for young people to do. Now, granted, a lot of these lowriders, man, you got to have some money to restore these things. So a lot of them are, they're guys like me with gray hair that are driving them. But even for youngsters, I used to go cruising, like I said, in San Mateo and Belmont back in the early 80s when I was in high school. And it was a thing to do, and it was fun, I mean, it's a little bit like, God, what was that Steven Spielberg movie that starred Ron Howard? It was like right before Happy Days. American Graffiti. It was kind of like that. It kind of had that vibe. It was fun. Ed goes on to say Valley Parkway in Escondido. Of course, Cruising Grand has replaced that. Yeah, they've done a nice job there on Grand Avenue in Escondido. I mean, that's a really neat community. A lot of great restaurants and bars, some boutique shops there. I told you my mom lives in Escondido, and so a lot of times we'll take her out to lunch there on Grand, and there's a lot of really nice places to eat there. I mean, some that are real casual, some that are a little bit, a little more high-endish, but not too foofy. And they do a really good job of like preserving that old sort of Escondido culture, that Main Street, USA kind of walking environment. And yeah, they'll have those cruising events, and it brings people together, and it's great. So why the hell are they banning it? And it's interesting too in National City, which